Hey folks, Dave here. We are going to make a fall sign. We've made some Halloween stuff, and we're going to make some more. But we haven't made anything that specifically says fall, and we're going to correct that today. So let's go up and grab a square and just drag it out on the canvas. You don't have to push shift because we're going to resize it. And push your arrow. Go up to the top to your width and height. Be sure your lock is turned off. And the width we're going to make about 280 millimeters. Something close to that so we can keep it around 11 inches, just over 11 inches. And for the height, we'll make it 146. And that's just over 5.5 inches. And we can create our seam for the cutouts. And then we can duplicate that and set up the placement for those. So this square you can select and go down to the bottom and select tool and make it a tool. That way there's no output for it. We don't have to waste any additional wood. So I got some free vectors from the internet, and I'll put links to those down in the description. And I think we will start with maybe a bale of hay, because we got to make some adjustments to it. So here's what it looks like from the start. And remember, you can push down on your scroll wheel and just move the whole canvas around, or scroll in and out to move it. So we're going to take this hay bale and adjust it. So let's get it down to about the size we want. So it'll set somewhere over here. And then we're going to duplicate it. Shrink it down, because this really doesn't look, we know it's a bale of hay, but we're going to make it look more like a bale of hay by adding some pieces into the center. So we got that. Now we're going to duplicate that and make it even smaller and stick it in there somewhere like that. Pull these back in here and do something like that. And you can play with these and make them look however you want. Just something to make it look more like a bale of hay. Actually, that looks a little better. Let's just get another one of those. Drag it over here. That looks like a bale of hay. We will call it a bale of hay. Make it a little smaller. And we will group it. And then maybe duplicate it and make us a stack of hay. Like so. Get us another one. And put it on top. And then we'll group all that together. Right click and group. Maybe make it a little bit smaller. Then just drag it out. Keep it selected. Go over to the left here and click offset shapes. And we're just going to offset by 1 millimeter so we can, the inside we can score and the outside will be the cutout for that. And we can still tell it's a bale of hay when we put it on our sign. So that, then you can drag out the original, go down and set it to score for whatever you have score. And then go over to the top left and move that to the top. That way you can be sure that it's above the cut line. Because you don't want to cut first and then come back and score, because that will make a mess out of what you're trying to do. So now that that's set, you can select it all, group it, and set it here. Now our hay bale is done. So let's make us a pumpkin to set on top of that. So this pumpkin I've used in another project, but it's a pretty good pumpkin. And we're just going to grab this one. Well, we're going to ungroup it first. And then we can throw some of these pieces away. Yep, because all we want is this one. There we go. So we will turn him. When you select, you can just go to the corner. And then you can turn him around however you want him to set. And this we will, oh, I lost an I. Control Z will back you up and get you to where you need to be. So I guess we should group that. And that will just be a cutout. And when you're setting things close to each other, if you select it and then bring your mouse down to the edge and then click, and then it'll snap to the other object like so. But these will be the cutouts, so it really doesn't have to be that close because we're going to put them lower. But we will copy this to put down here for a cutout. So this, we can go ahead and copy this tool. We just want the tool. So we can duplicate that, bring it down here, and then that will actually get cut out. You can set it to cut, and that will get cut out. So once we get the pieces that we're going to cut out up here set, then we will put an outline down here in the bottom and know where to place everything. So I guess we can do that one at a time. Well, we'll do it all together. We'll wait until everything's in place and then do it. So let's go get some corn stalks. Corn stalks here. Way too big, but we'll resize those. And you can work off of your canvas, but if you tried to do a preview up here at the top, you wouldn't see that. You wouldn't see that item. It has to be over here on the canvas for you to see what's going on. Okay, so it looks like they already have an outline, so we can group this, ungroup it, I'm sorry. And then this piece is in pieces. So Control Z again. Control Z is your friend. So we need to grab everything. And if you grab from the right, if you move from the right, you get a green line, and you just have to touch the item and it'll select. If you come from the left, you get a red line, and the only way it'll grab is if you grab everything. And that's not what we want to do. So we're going to grab from the right. We will group this piece, and then we will set it to score. We will delete one of these, and then we will pull this inside of the cut line. So the black portion will cut, and the inside portion will score. And you're supposed to group it, so hit Control Z again. And then group it. I make a lot of mistakes, folks. I'm going to leave them in here, though, because I think it helps people to see that how to make corrections. I know it helps me when I see people making corrections. So let's move these guys over a little bit. In fact, we can group these together. Move them over a little. Let's put us a corn stalk here, and then we can duplicate that, drag it out, and put us one over here somewhere. And then that'll make our sign look a little more proportionate. Okay, so let's go get a scarecrow. Let's see, scarecrow. Get it resized up. Probably put it over here somewhere. And we want to let the scarecrow. He's probably a little taller than the corn. Put him there. And then we will do an outline on the scarecrow over here on the left. And 1 millimeter offset's fine. Here, then we can drag out the centerpiece. I don't know what that is. Okay, so sometimes when you do an outline, you will get some errant marks, like this circle here. If you select it and then ungroup it, then you can select the piece you want to get rid of and just delete it. So, and then that's all grouped back together. So this piece we want to set as a score, but just make it a tad smaller so it is on the inside of the outline. Set it for score. That way it'll score and cut. Now we can group that together. Just select it all from the right and group it. And then let's see about some, let's go get some leaves. And I think this is a pile of leaves, but I'm just going to get one of them. Whichever one's easiest to pull out of this pile. Can make them smaller and get them away from everything else so they'll be easier to work with. Just drag them over out of the way. Ungroup. And then see if you can pick one leaf out of here. And we did good. Okay, so now you can get rid of the rest of these. Hope everybody's having a good day today. I am so far. Hope it stays that way. So let's see. Alright, so we will fix this up with a outline. We'll do an outline on this. Pull out the original, set it for score, put it back in because the outside is set here for cut. It's a cut, and over on the right where your cuts are, I don't know why this one's set for fill. We don't want the score set for fill, we want it set for line. But if you go to your cut palette and you right click on the color, it'll show you which ones are affected. They'll just flash. Even your tools, even though they won't cut, they'll flash. Okay, so that's set for cut. Now we can put this leaf back in there. Just get it big enough we can see it. Make sure it's inside good, then we can select everything and we can group it together. Now we know we're going to need to duplicate that a few times. Duplicate, we'll stick one. That's a pretty big leaf. Let's make it a little smaller. A little smaller. We'll duplicate. Put one here. Maybe a couple of them down here. That looks pretty good. And then we will put couple up at the top. Put this one here, and then we will go up to arrange, and we will flip this one horizontally, and it will go up top. Now we need to get some writing. I think we will put happy fall, y'all. I know everybody's not in the South, but that's what people say down here, so that's what we're going to write. Okay, for cutout, a good cutout is Arial black. And these letters will be cut out and placed down here on the bottom. So we're going to use capitals and do happy, let me back up, fall, y'all. And then click your arrow, it'll select everything, and then you can kind of work with it to resize it to where you would like it to be. Okay, that looks good. And that will be a cut, so set it to cut. And we can even make those, we could make those stick together, we won't, they'll be larger letters, but you could use the weld function if you wanted to, and you could come across the bottom of these letters and make sure they all touch, and then you could weld that. Watch it not work, but we're going to try. Select that, shift, select your line, and then go right here and click weld. And then it would weld everything together, and then you could move it in one piece, but we're just going to move them individually. Okay, so we have that. I think the top is all done, so now we need outlines down here. Okay, so to get an outline on our sign, you just want to grab everything we created up top, right click and duplicate, and then drag it down to the bottom. And then just make it something really light. You don't need much, just enough to see it so you can take these cutouts and put them in place. So I've got one here set for 40 millimeters per second and a power of 10%, and that should be enough. So take your layer, top right, that last layer, and be sure to drag it above the cut line. You never want to cut before you do your scoring. Okay, let me just orient this to my laser. And that should do it. So let me get set up in the laser bed. I'll come back and do a frame and hit start to send the code over. We'll cut this out and see what it looks like. Okay, give me a few minutes. I'll be right back. Okay, folks, we're all set up in the laser bed. Let's cut this out and see what it looks like.
Okay, folks, well, we have our pieces that are engraved and cut out. And then down here we have a really light scoring just to help us know where to place them. Maybe if I can get it out. And it just helps you get them in the right spot. But of course you can do it without the extra scoring. It's up to you. So let me get this put together and we'll get a better look at it. Okay, folks, well, here's our finished project. It turned out pretty good. I had a couple of folks ask on a previous video if I could start doing a close-up at the end of the project to give you a better view. So here's a close-up. I hope that was helpful. So with the background, you can choose to do the scoring or not do the scoring. I know if it wasn't there for me, I wouldn't get the lettering straight, so I use it, but it's up to you if you do or not. You could paint the lettering before you put it on the background, or you could paint individual sheets before you start and just cut everything out a separate color and then put it on. Entirely up to you. It was a fun little project. I hope you give it a try. And we'll be doing some more Halloween stuff soon. So check back often for new videos. I really appreciate you watching. And happy fall, y'all. We'll see you next time.